Uh, Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel of Geography Lecture Series. Today I have selected the topic from regional geography. As you know, the geography is a very vast subject. It covers different topics of different natures, So regional geography is also one of the very vast and big subjects. Regional geography, or in other words, you can say world geography. It was before in 70s and 80s the part of geography courses, but then suddenly it was being left. Now in recent times, this again has been recommended and become the part of geography. Now we teach the regional geography under the title the concepts of regions. So as I tell you that regional geography is being a very popular subject because most of the students who are being part of the social sciences, they take interest in this regional geography. In regional geography, we learn the different regions of the world. So these regions have a classification or categorization on the basis of different characteristics. So these characteristics could be like a physiography, like a climate, like the political system. So when you are going to define or categorize or classify it in regions, you will have to take either one character or which has been dominant or influential character, which make that region different, unique from the rest of the regions, or there are the mixture of different characteristics. So the regions are being defined or classified on the basis of the different characters. So these characters, as I told you, like the physiography or the physical landscapes. So these the region which is being popular or being known by those physical character or physical landscapes or natural environment. Yeah. Then we have a climate. Climate is one of the one of the factor on which the regions are being classified. So climatic regions, we have a climatic region, we have physical region, political systems, and administration. So there are certain regions which are being popular for their political system. So and then what? Then we have a developed industrial region. So these regions are in strong economies. So on the basis of their economies or the development or the industry, they are being known or being categorized, classified. So there could be a different characteristic. You can say there are certain regions which are being popular in terms of education, health facilities. Certain they are being in terms of religion, and in terms of religion. So there are certain ritualistic what do you say tradition which are being popular, which make them different from the rest of the region. So people go there and they for the purpose of worship. So there could be different characteristics in the classification of the regions. I will try to have another video on the regions and what is the region and what are the different characteristics of region. So, but today I have come out with a different classification, which is on the basis of latitudes. So because you might have heard about the regions are being classified on the basis of latitudes. Latitudes means their location, where they are being located. So in this lecture, we will explore which are the latitudinal difference, or which are the latitudes of the different regions, and which regions are being following which on which latitude. So we also will see the not only see the how many countries are being part of those regions, but we also see the climatic conditions of those regions. So before going to the lecture, I must say that climatic condition or the climate of that region, which make it different from the rest of the region, is being more used or employed in this case in terms of when we talk about the latitudinal regions of the world. So let's go to the topics. We will see which countries are being found in which part of the world or in which latitudinal region. So yeah, so latitudes mainly is being used for the determination of the location of any place, but these latitudes have a different what is a coordinate system, coordinate lines, which have a which make it different from the rest of the. So these latitudes, when we talk about here, these latitudes make it different from rest of. So there are the different regions which are being classified or divided between these latitudes. So the regions on the earth are sometimes described as a falling with the general bands of latitude. So as I told you, we had a different classification of the region on the basis of climate, physiography, political systems, or say industry or administration, whatever. But here we will reclassify the region on the basis of their latitude. So either you can go by their names, or you can take it like on the basis of their what to say height, I'll say. So like we have a low latitude, generally between low latitudes regions are being generally found between the equator and the 30-degree north and south. So the regions which are at the equator, 30-degree north and south, they are being called the low latitude regions. Then we have a mid latitude, they are being between 30 to 60 north and south latitude. So those regions which are being between 30 to 60 north latitudes, they are being called the mid latitude. Then we have a high latitudes. High latitudes are between 60 both from north to the south. So these are being called the high latitude. There is another classification, in other words, of these latitudinal classification of the region. Either you can call the equatorial regions, tropical regions, or subtropical regions, or temperate regions, or the polar regions. So like equatorial region within a few degree of equator, tropical within the tropics between 23 and a half north and 23 and a half south. Subtropical slightly poleward, we go further to the tropics, we have a subtropical regions which are generally being 25 to 30 north and south latitude, and we have a polar region within a few degree of north and south poles. So like the equator at the middle, which is the middle line which divide the poles, north and south poles, in two equal parts. You can say generally equator is a place, is a central line which divide the earth in two equal parts. So equator is a 0-degree line. So you can see here that this is equator. Then we have a Tropic of Cancer in the north. Then we have a Tropic of Capricorn in the south. So the degrees are being exceeding if you go up in the north, if you are going down to the south. So we have an equatorial, we have a tropical, we have a subtropical, we have mid-latitudinal. So we'll see one by one the condition which are being found in these latitudinal regions, and also we see which countries are being part of these regions and which climatic condition are being found. So this is also another description. Like we have a equator. On equator, we very close to the equator, we have a tropics, Tropic of Cancer in the north and Tropic of Capricorn in the south. Then we have a temperate zone, which is at the top in the north side of the Tropic of Cancer. Then we have a polar region. So either you have this description where you can say equator, Tropic of Cancer, Arctic Circle, and the North Pole, or you can say have a low latitudes, mid latitudes, and high latitudes. So these all regions which are being found at different latitudes, they have a different characteristics. So we'll see those characters. So let's start from the equatorial regions. So we'll see which are the equatorial regions of the world. So in equatorial regions are located in the band around the equator, and which covers the 6% of the surface. So equatorial regions are being found at the equator, which I told you, at the central part of the earth, and the equatorial region covers 6% of land area of Earth's surface. You know, it is this. If you take from 100, 6% land area has been covered, or 6% of land falls in the equatorial. So they are often in lowland areas and have a climate that is hot and wet all the year, and tropical rainfall grow in the equatorial region. So if you generally take what type of condition we have, they are being called the lowland area. And the same time, if you look at the climate of these area, these regions, means equatorial regions, they have hot and wet all around the year, all around the year. So पूरे साल यहाँ पे climate गर्म और बारिशों वाला रहता है. So tropical rainforest you will find here. The average monthly temperature are about 26 to 28 degrees Celsius. So if you take the average monthly temperature of these areas, we have 26 to 28 degrees Celsius, means the temperature is very high. Even if you look at the average, this is the average temperature of these areas. So the annual temperature range, the difference between the average temperature, the hottest and coldest, is very small. So if you look at the, you know, the difference between hottest and the lowest, hottest and the lowest, you can say hottest and the coldest the temperature, the average difference between high and the low degree is very small one. So it means there's no any contrast, bigger contrast between high and low temperature. So mostly I'll say throughout the year temperature almost remain similar. It's like, you know, if you come to our part of, you know, region, our part of out of the country, like in Pakistan, we have a quite difference here. So we have a winter and with a summer. So if you come in, if you like say define the winter, if you look at the winter temperature is slightly colder and the summer slightly hotter. So we have a contrast, we have a variation. But if you are in the equatorial region, there is a limited, very small contrast will be found here. So average temperature is almost, you know, hot. If you are being, so the annual temperature range may be as low as 3 degree Celsius. यानी कि क्या कर रहा है कि 3 degree Celsius का फर्क पड़ता है यहाँ पे. The diurnal or day temperature range between highest temperature day and the lowest temperature is night. So similar, like, you know, the temperatures are higher in the daytime and the lower in the night times. The humidity is usually very high. So here in these equatorial regions, we have found the high humidities, and because of high humidity, we have a high rainfall. That could be a one factor of rainfall, high rainfall. Another major character of this climate is high rainfall. As I told you, these regions usually experience 2,000 millimeter of rainfall or more in a year. So if you take the average, you know, rainfall which has been happening here, it is 2,000 millimeter. It's very high. So the equator passes through 13 countries. This is very important to know which countries are being on the equator or equatorial regions, you know. So we have 13 countries which are being found in the equator, which are being called Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, Sao Tome, Panama, Gabon, Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Somalia, Maldives, Indonesia, and Kiribati. If you look at these countries, most of these countries are being either from the South America or from the Africa. There's other countries which are from Asia, like Maldives and Indonesia. We'll also see in the next slide which are countries where. So this is the you know, the countries which are being liquidated to the equator. So this is the equator line which is goes from east to west, or west from west to east. So you can see there are 3 countries. They are being in South America. These are the large chunk, you know, I'll see many countries are being found in the, what do you say, this is Africa, few countries in Asia. This is what you see, Maldives and Kiribati. So these are the list of the countries which are being found. So we have 13 countries which are found at the equator. So now we are coming to the tropical regions. So similarly, we have a similar what is a classification or the description as we discuss about the tropical equatorial region. So tropical zone is the region surrounding the equator. Similarly, we have an equator And if you go further from the equator, we have a tropical zone. So once the equator has been finishing, the line after equator, we have a tropical. So tropical zones lying close to the equator. It is the limited by the Tropic of Cancer, 23 half north, and the northern, which is in northern hemisphere, and tropical of Capricorn, tropics of Capricorn, the south and southern hemisphere. So tropical regions are being found. So in the tropics we have a Tropic of Cancer at the north and Tropics of Capricorn in the south, which is close to the equator. So we'll see the three types of climate is tropical is classified. So tropical rainforest or equatorial, tropical monsoon, and the tropical wet and dry on the savanna. So we will have another video on these, climatic. We have a Köppen classification, climatic classification, which also been a bigger, very big and detailed lecture on the topic. So I will try to have another video on that. But you will have to keep in mind that what type of climate we have been founding on tropical regions. So tropical regions have a rainforest, equatorial, tropical monsoon, because India, some part of India has been observing this type of climate. So tropical region experience all 12 months of year with temperature above 18 centigrade. So if you are in tropical regions, the temperatures almost whole year, all 12 months experiencing above 18 centigrades. If you take the average temperature, it is always 18 centigrade throughout the year. So the tropics are distinguished from other climatic and biometric regions of Earth, which are the mid latitude. So tropical regions have been at mid latitude, and the polar regions are either side of the equatorial region. So it has been said the tropical climate is quite different from, as we have been discussing, same things. It's also different characters from the mid latitudes and the high latitudes. So the tropics comprise 40% of Earth's surface area. This is also very important to understand here. That the 40% of land area or surface area has been part of the tropics or the tropical regions. So equatorial has a 6% and the 40% comes in the tropics. So the tropics are the regions of the Earth that lie roughly in the middle of the globe. So they are at the middle globe. So they are being called the mid latitude. The tropics include the equator and the part of North America, South America, Africa, Asia, and Australia. So there are certain parts from North America, from South America, Africa, Asia, and Australia. So these are the continents. There are certain countries we will see here, because 40% is a big percentage or big ratio. So these are continents we cover. So these are the countries which are being found on the tropical region. So in North America, we have a Mexico, which falls in the tropical regions. We have a Central America, where we have a different Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama. And then we have East Africa, we have Burundi, Comoros, Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Madagascar. So these are the countries which are being coming. Somalia, Tanzania, Uganda, they are being coming into the tropical regions. Then we have a South America, we have a Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Frangua, when we have a Guyana, Paraguay, Peru, Venezuela. So these are being found in the equatorial region. And we have a Southeast Asia, Brunei, Burma, Cambodia, East Timor, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, and India. Not a whole India, but some part of India has been, or the half part of India has been in the equatorial region. Then we have a Caribbean region, Anguilla, Antigua, Barbados, and we have British, Cuba. So there are lots of things. Central America, if you're coming, we have Gabon, Central Africa, sorry, Chad, Congo, Gabon, Sudan, Zambia, Cambodia, Cameroon, and then we have West Africa, we have a Burkina Faso, we have a Gambia, we have a Ghana. So there are lots of countries which are being coming into the tropical region. So this is the what I say, the tropical regions of the world. So this is the temperate regions, I'll say. So this one is the equatorial region. Now we are coming to the, now we are coming to the temperate zone. Temperate zone again is very important here. Temperate zone is one of those zones where you can have a contrast in its climatic condition. It is a, you know, the big contrast, lots of variation in terms of climate, because you may find the all seasons, all 4 seasons. So because of, you know, the contrast or the variation in the climate, or especially in the temperature, you find the most of the seasons here, and that's why you will have a lots of food production or agriculture here. Temperate zone also been called the moderate zone. So let's see what is the description. In geography, the temperature or tepid climate of Earth occur in the mid latitude. So this is the mid latitude zone, which span between tropics and the polar region. So we have equator, tropics, and temperate and the polar region. So between polar and the tropics, we have a temperate zone. These zones generally have a wider temperature range throughout the year and more distinct seasonal changes compared to the tropical climate. As I told you before, this region, which has also been a moderate climate, or you can say favorable climate for the growth of different crops or species, what do you call it? But at the same time, it is a distinct seasonal changes. So if you are being at the high latitudes or the low latitudes, this temperature zone has a distinct characteristic of having a different seasons. So there's lots of contrast in here. So because of this, all 4 seasons are found in regions with variety of crop types. Temperate climates of the earth are characterized by a relatively moderate mean annual temperature. So here, if you look at the average temperature, which has been moderate, with average monthly temperature over 10 centigrade in their warmest months. So if you are being in the summer season, we have average 10 centigrades temperature in the summer season, and have above -3 centigrade in the colder months. So if you have in a winter season, we have a -3 centigrades, and if you have in the summer season, we have above 10 centigrade. But it not happens everywhere. So there has also been different countries. I'll show you in the map that there are different countries which don't experience such average temperature here. Pakistan also part of temperate zone. I'll show in the year, but most of the North America, Europe, almost whole Europe, and some part of Australia, Europe and the Central Asia and South America and Southern Australia, they are being found in the temperate zone. So the temperate zone, latitudes 35 to the polar circle is 65. So from 35 to 65 north are where the widest season range occur, with most climate found in having a same. So most people live in the temperate zone, which is very important to understand here. The most of the people are living in the temperate zone of the world. So in the most of the countries, or most of the population or the people are been living here, with what balance influence from both tropics and the poles. So if you are being comparison from poles to tropics, more people are living here. Regions that lie exclusively in the temperate zone include the continental USA. So we'll see which regions are being found here. So we have a USA, continental USA, most of Canada and Europe. These are the bigger countries, whole Europe and most of the Canada, US, North America, Southern South America, some part of South America, and Southern Australia. So they are being found here. So I'll show you, this is the zone of temperate or the mid latitude. So this is a temperate zone. So look at how many countries we have. Canada, we have a North America, some part of Southern America. Then this is the Europe, almost whole Europe. Then we have Asian, some part. This is Russia is here. Then we have China is here. Pakistan. So Afghanistan. This is Afghanistan. We have Iran and Pakistan. Pakistan also part of temperate zone. That's why we have a different seasons. Luckily, we have a different season. And use the north part of India has been found here. So we have a China here. So you may see the most countries are being found in the temperate zone. So that's why it's been said this is the high population area of the world. Now we are coming to the last one, which is called the polar regions of the world. So polar regions which are being at the polar up and at the pole. So either at the at the north or at the south. So even if I say polar, something comes to your mind, ice, snow, or low temperature, minus degrees. So this is the distinguishing characteristic of this area. Iron has been there. So the polar regions have a very cold climate, is all been known. They are this region has been popular, are being known, are being identified because of its coldness. They are also called fridge zone. Means why we call the fridge zone, because most of the time the ice is being fridge. So until unless there's a less temperature and the rainfall, they start to freeze. But otherwise, this ice is permanently freeze. If you are being in polar regions, you will don't find the soil. You understand soil on which we carry our agriculture. So because that soil means surface of earth, surface of land area is being covered by the ice. So if the ice is there, so it means we don't find the solid land there. Means solid land means from there the soil is being formed, or being soil which we need for the crop or harvesting. So this area has always been covered with the snow and the ice. So there's no chance, almost impossible to have agriculture there. And the temperature very high. Because of a high temperature, absence of the soil, you will find the few people are living there, because the conditions which are being persisting there, they are not suitable for the people, for the life there. So you might find the particular type of animals which can survive in this high coldness. So they are being part of this region. So you might have heard about the polar bears, but there are very few people are living there. So polar region is that region of the world where very fewest people are being living there. So either those people who are being working they are being exploring something there in terms of minerals or fossil fuels, whatever you call there. So they are being there, and there are very few people who are being permanently living there by making a particular type of houses to cover their houses and to be there. So mostly the profession of people who are being living there is the hunting or the fishing. So the high latitude and polar regions are located around the North Pole and the South Pole. So it's been found both in these areas are being called the polar regions. They are being in the north or the south. So you can see the green color. So you may find in the north and the south. So Alaska is very popular. Canada, some part of Canada. So look at this is the Canada. So these are the Canada, some part of, and this is the Greenland, and the Norway and the Russia. So we have a Canada, Greenland, Norway, Russia, and the Arctic in the Arctic Ocean, which is found in the south of the world. So they are becoming the polar regions. So again, we described that we have Alaska, Canada. In Alaska, Canada, we have a Greenland, we have a Russia, we have a Norway, and then we have a Arctic region. So Antarctica, which is the second smallest continent, is the southern polar region. So we have Antarctica here, which is the smallest of all continent, which is found in the south part of the world. So which is the part of the polar regions. So they get less. Polar regions have extremely cold temperature, very harsh climate, harsh temperatures there. So you can't survive there. The regions are far away from the equator, because, this is the equator. this one the equator. So these are regions far away from the equator. This is the reason, because on the equator the sunlight are being directly found here, directly falling here. So that's why they have a high temperature. So the polar regions have extremely cold temperature. The regions are far away from equator. They get less direct sunlight from other areas. Some of all the land is covered with the permanent ice. I told you before. So the areas being covered with permanent ice. So even if, because there's a very less chances of low temperature, temperatures to कम होता नहीं यहाँ पे, यानी कि temperatures don't been increase, high temperature, यानी कि temperature बढ़ता नहीं यहाँ पे. हाँ, there's be a snow falling also. But if you don't have a high temperature, so there is no chance of snow melting. So this is the area where we have a ice which has been permanently been there. So I hope you understood. This was all about the latitudinal classification of the regions. So we see what type of what countries are being found in different regions of the world. So in the next class, I will also have another topic which is from the political geography. We will discuss about the nation state, colonies, territories, and dependencies. So we'll see what is the background of these all political systems or political territories. So till then, Khuda Hafiz. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, comments, and subscribe. See you soon. Thank you.